Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is going on. Okay, now that I have promoted tonight's live stream on social media, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is based on a viral video of what we thought was supposed to be a baby mama who was angry over the fact that her baby daddy went out here and only bought McDonald's food for his son. So as this video was going on, we see this baby mama sitting here angry that the baby daddy has gone out here and only bought food for his son. Now, I have seen this kind of entitlement a lot of times growing up here in the South Bronx. Now, I've seen this type of entitlement from these single mothers. They would sit here and believe that they are owed a certain kind of treatment, even though they don't deserve what they're getting. Many of these single baby mamas, they will sit here out here and think that everybody is supposed to cater to them, and they're supposed to think that the world revolves only around them. So everything in the video is something I have seen growing up here in the South Bronx on the regular. And I've seen these types of females sit there and make these types of crazy requests of other baby daddies as related to the kids that they have with other men. Now, in this video, this woman is supposed to have had four children, and she's expecting one of the baby daddy who is taking care of his son, to take care of the other three kids. And again, I have seen this all the time here in the South Bronx. And sadly, there were a lot of simps who enable this behavior in these kinds of women. So when it comes down to a lot of these baby mamas, they are extremely, as I see it, spoiled and entitled. And the reason why they are spoiled and entitled is because they are used to these simps going out here and giving them whatever they want. So a lot of these guys, they're thinking, oh, this baby mama was just that she was acting real crazy. If you come down to the South Bronx, you're gonna see all of this kind of craziness practically every day from these kinds of women. And the main reason why these kinds of women act crazy like this is because they are spoiled and enabled. Now, they are spoiled and enabled by multiple people and multiple institutions, and they are enabled first and foremost by the state in the welfare state, because the welfare state basically pays for their housing, pays for their electricity, pays for practically their food with food stamps, and practically pays for everything. So with the state giving them a economic base, many of these women never have to take any sort of responsibility for themselves. So that is the start of the enabling in these kinds of baby mamas. The second kind of enabling that comes from these baby mamas comes from these simps out here. Now, a lot of these simps, they will go out here looking to go get her to drop the skid mark thong so they can get a taste of the atomic waste. And they will go out here and practically give this woman everything that she wants, and even go out here and buy her kids whatever they want in the hopes of gaining access to that nuclear waste reactor between her legs. So these guys, they enable a lot of these women to act dysfunctional because they're willing to give her passes for all of her bad behavior. They're willing to give her a pass for her nasty attitude. They're willing to give her a pass for her just plain hostility and surliness. And they are willing to sit there and give her passes for all of her bad behavior. And she sits there and thinks that it's perfectly fine to participate in this behavior because she's getting rewards for that behavior. One, from the state, and two, she gets rewards from these simps out here. Now, some of these women work and they get rewards for their behavior also from their bosses. So these women are heavily enabled to participate in this type of raggedy behavior because people don't hold these females accountable at any level of their lives. No, everybody is looking to give these women passes for their bad behavior. So that's why they go out here acting crazy, because they know that they can get some sort of reward for it. Now, as this whole video is going on, she's sitting there thinking that she is supposed to be owed a meals for all of her children, and that makes no logical sense. Now, it doesn't make logical sense for a woman to sit there and think a man who has fathered one of the children is going to feed all four, because that is not his job. That is not his responsibility. But many of these women, again, they are used to being enabled by these kinds of women, and they're used to being enabled because a lot of these guys during the courtship phase with these women, they will go out here and start spending money to feed all of the kids. That is something most people really don't know about. Then most of the people who made videos on this don't really talk about how these simps would be going out here spending money on these kind of women in an effort to gain access to those draws. So he'll go out here during the courtship phase and spend that kind of money, but when he gets the kid, then he wants to make it about the other guys. And that's the complete backwards mindset that many of these simps out here have. They think, oh, if I go out here and in the courtship phase, I'm out here trying to impress her by showing how much money I got in my pocket. But then when he gets a kid, he wants to make it all about his kid. That is something many of these simps do all the time with single moms. They will sit there and create this whole situation. And then when they get a kid by same said woman, then they want to flip the script and start rewriting the rules. This is something, if you don't live in the neighborhood and you don't know how these guys operate, you will wind up getting caught up in the emotions of that video and not really know what's really going on here. Now, as somebody who lived in a neighborhood in the South Bronx in the 80s and in the 90s and 2000s and saw this kind of stuff going on, I can tell you that a lot of these baby daddies, they put themselves in these situations when they started simping for these females. So a lot of these guys, they start simping, and they'll do this in the beginning, not understanding that when you're out here and you're with a lady, you have to go out here and set your standards from day one. A guy out here who knows about dealing with women will say, look, I have to set the standards for how I deal with this woman from day one. And if I do not, set those standards, what's going to happen is you're going to create a situation where you're going to be either steamrolled into a situation like this dude was in, or you're going to wind up jamming yourself up because she's going to be expecting you to be continuing to take care of her other kids, and you're going to mess yourself up. So this is another thing that a lot of these simps don't do. They don't set boundaries for the women that they're involved with from day one, and they don't set standards for how that relationship is going to work from day one. So this is what these simps go out here and do. They enable this type of entitlement in these kinds of women. They gas them up. They tell them what they want to hear. And as they're being told what they want to hear, they're hoping, wishing, and praying that these women will give them an opportunity at getting at those draws, getting into the skid mark thong, and getting their taste of the atomic waste. So these guys, they'll sit there, create this problem, and I'm not just going to say the woman created the problem over there. No, these guys create the problem too. So a lot of people want to look at it and go, oh, this baby mama was acting crazy. But the reason why she was acting crazy is because none of the men in that community wanted to act like leaders, and none of the men in the community act like they want to be a head of household. No, many of these men, because they come from single mother households and have grown up in the welfare state, many of these guys are looking to follow behind the lead of the women because that's what they learned in their house from their mama. What they learned in their house from their mama is that women run the house, women control the finances, women control the resources, and they learn to submit to the women. So you get a guy out here and he's not looking for a wife. No, because he's never been trained to look for a wife. No, he's been trained to look for a girlfriend because Madison Avenue and Hollywood told him it would be socially acceptable. And really, what he's looking for that girlfriend to be is a second version of his mother. So you've got a guy out here, and he's talking about he wants to get involved with a single mom. And that really, again, shows you how messed up the mindset of these guys are. They're not looking for, again, a girlfriend to be a wife and a helpmeet and be the leader in that household. No, they're looking for a mama, and they're looking for a mama to take care of them. Many of these guys really do not understand that there is a difference between a wife and a mama. A mother is designed to take care of her sons, but a son is supposed to grow up to a point where he is supposed to meet a woman who will be his wife. And when that woman becomes his wife, that's when he forsakes his mother and then goes to form his own house. That is something many boys have not learned over the years due to the miseducation that they have learned growing up in single mother households. And I go in depth on this in my upcoming book, The Woman Crisis. And this has really messed up a lot of girls because of the miseducation they have received under feminism. Because a lot of girls under feminism, they have received a miseducation, and that miseducation has them believing that all they need to do is go out here and just get a guy, and they don't understand their role as a woman. And that's something else we saw in that video. This woman, as she was playing in the video, she did not understand her role as a woman. She did not understand her role as a wife. No, she didn't understand any of those things because she was basically what I call in the woman crisis an indoctrinated feminist. And when you're dealing with an indoctrinated feminist, this is not somebody who understands her role as a woman. No, she understands her role as part of the welfare state, and she knows all about getting the entitlements that she is used to receiving under the welfare state. So that's what you saw in the video. One of these feminists who had come out here and been enabled and programmed by the state, and she believed that she was owed meals for all of her children from one baby daddy. And that's what many of these feminist indoctrinated women believe. They believe that they are owed things basically for just being there. And again, that comes from the mindset that they learned from growing up, being indoctrinated into white feminism and being indoctrinated into the welfare state. Because they have been indoctrinated into the welfare state, they believe that people are supposed to give them whatever they want, and they don't believe that they have responsibilities to people as we saw in the video. In the video, the woman was out here complaining, oh, he only buys meals for his son, and she's sitting there thinking that the man is in the wrong. But the man wasn't in the wrong as related to what he was doing for his child. What he was in the wrong really for was, one, getting involved with this woman, but that was due to him not getting male life skills and male survival skills. And two, he did not know how to approach this kind of contentious woman. When it comes down to this type of disrespectful, rude, and contentious woman, you do not approach her and get into situations like this. No, when you're in a situation like this with this type of female, and if you're unfortunate to have had a child with this female, what you do is you set boundaries for yourself to protect yourself and your child. And what you do in that situation is you don't go out here and meet her in a place like this guy did. I guess he went to her home or someplace. No, what you do is you meet that woman at a police station and you pick your son up. You don't bring him a meal. No, you go to meet the boy at a location that is public. And when you meet him at the location, you then take your son to a fast food restaurant of wherever you want to go. You get him his meal. You eat it at the place or some park or someplace where y'all want to hang out. And then you sit there and talk to your son, hang out with him, and then you go back home. You don't go out here and bring him a meal, because bringing him a meal is something that these women really, that they want to do. What they want to do is go out here and cause a big scene. They want to cause a lot of drama, and they want to go out here and make you out to be the bad guy. So in order to avoid a situation where she's going to start some conflict, you arrange to meet at the police station, because when there's a lot of cops out here, she's not going to start any drama, because she knows if she starts some drama, those police officers at the sergeant's desk and the officers in the precinct, they're going to be watching this woman, and they're going to be watching her and watching her behavior. So this is some insurance for yourself that everybody knows all about. People know, look, I'm not going to get into it with this woman. What I'm going to do is meet this woman at the police station, pick up my son, and then after I pick up my son and drop my son off at the hour, what they're going to do is go get him some food, hang out with him, then going to drop him off back at the police station so that she not come out here looking to start some mess. That's how you solve the problem with these kind of females, because when it comes down to a lot of these kind of females, and I've grown up around a lot of these kind of females in the South Bronx, these very cantankerous and contentious women, you have to go out here and understand protocol for dealing with them. Now, a lot of people want to say, oh, this was a black woman thing. No, it is not a black woman thing. No, I have seen contentious white women like this. I have seen contentious Puerto Rican women and Spanish women like this. So these types of women, they become extremely contentious. And the main reason why they become contentious is because they had expectations of the man that they were involved with, who they had the baby with, and because they had expectations of this man, they get very angry and very bitter because this man did not fulfill the expectations they imagined him to fulfill with them. Now, these expectations that these women have, they come from two places. The first place comes in a lot of times because these simps sit up here and they talk a good game. They run their mouths. They make a lot of big promises to women to get them to drop the skid mark thong and give them a taste of the atomic waste. And then there are these, and as they're making these big promises, the woman's head gets gassed, the woman's head gets juiced, and she's sitting there imagining living on Easy Street with this guy with his big promises. But oftentimes, what happens is this guy is just talking because all he wants to do is talk her into dropping her skid mark thong and letting him get a taste of that atomic waste between her legs. So that's what he wants to talk her into. But when it's time to deliver on the goods, this dude is nowhere to be found. I mean, whenever this guy hears the words "I'm pregnant," this is what he does: is he once he hears those words, he's ready to bolt out the door. And when he's ready to bolt out the door, this is what really disappoints many of these women. And when they get hurt by hearing this man break those promises, this is one of the things that leads to them becoming very bitter. Now, the other thing that you have with many of these women is that they build worlds around these men. Now, a lot of women, they become very emotional when they get involved with these guys. And a lot of these simps, again, they talk a good game. They talk about how they want to move out of the ghetto, how they want to make this big money, but they don't deliver. The whole thing is that they tell this woman what she wants to hear. They get her gassed up, they get her in her feelings, and then when she gets pregnant, all of a sudden he starts to get scared, he starts to get nervous, and then what happens is he starts not being able to fulfill any of those promises because none of those promises meant anything at all. All he was trying to do was talk his way talk her out of her clothes. And the whole thing is that when it's time for him to deliver on being the man that he said he was going to be, this dude is not able to do this, and he's not able to meet the expectations she imagined that he would be able to be. He's not able to meet those expectations. And when she gets a taste of reality, this is the thing that devastates many women in the inner city. And this is what leads to many of these women winding up becoming very bitter. And this is what winds up making these women very angry. And that's why they're sitting there really sour. Now, this woman in this video was saying, oh, she had 3 kids by 3 different men. So basically, she got played 3 times by 3 stooges to get those 4 kids by those multiple men. So if you've got 4 kids by multiple men, it looks like these guys were basically playing with this woman. And that's what these guys do. The simp will sit there and tell you exactly what you want to hear. And then once he gets the draws, he wants to leave, but he can't leave because now that the woman is pregnant, he's stuck in a trap where he can't get out. And that's what it looks like happened here with this whole scenario in the video. And this is what happens to a lot of guys, especially living here in the South Bronx. In the South Bronx, you get a lot of guys who get this game run on them, and they are running game themselves. So both sides are running game, and the sad part is the only losers are the children. And the children are the big losers as related to what's presented in this video, because the mother is sitting there showing us that she isn't capable of maintaining a household. So she's not wife material in any way, shape, or form. No, she's not wife material because she's out here talking about how her check is coming on the 7th and she doesn't have any money. So that shows us that she's not a good household manager, because a good household manager would have it where those kids would be eating and the home would have plenty of food for the kids, so that when the baby daddy goes out here and says, hey, I want to take my son out for some McDonald's, McDonald's is not his main meal. No, McDonald's is a treat, because I remember when I was a kid, McDonald's was a treat. When my father would take me and my sister to McDonald's, that was a treat. It was not a meal. No, a good household manager makes sure that, one, all the bills are paid for the kids to have a place to stay. Two, there is plenty of food there for the kids to eat. And three, there's that if the dad wants to take them out for a dinner, that dinner is a treat that they get maybe once a week. So McDonald's isn't the main meal. No, McDonald's is the treat meal that the dad takes the kids out for. He doesn't have to bring them McDonald's. No, a man is like, no, I'm taking my kids out, and that's so mom can get a break. Thank you, DWT, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And if you guys want to donate to the super chat, you may do so as well. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, you can donate to the Cash App. And the Cash App goes directly to me and also helps me be able to go out here and be able to produce projects like the John Haynes Kickstarter. Now, the John Haynes Kickstarter, I'm going to give you guys a little update. We have passed the first stretch goal on the John Haynes Kickstarter. So that means everybody is going to get, along with their paper comics and their digital comics, a print by Filipino artist J.C. Shun. So this manga style print is now a part of the Kickstarter, and that first stretch goal has been completed, and we are on our way to announcing the second stretch goal. So I want to thank everybody for helping getting the John Haynes Kickstarter funded, and I want to thank everybody for helping me meet the first stretch goal. So we currently have 44 backers and are 6 away from 50 backers on the John Haynes Kickstarter. So if you guys want to go out here and pick up the John Haynes Kickstarter, you can put in your pledge by clicking the link on the chat. So I want to thank everybody for supporting the Kickstarter, and I am going out here and trying to make this Kickstarter the best. I mean, I want to give you guys an experience with this Kickstarter, and I want to give you an experience that you will enjoy with the first full SJS Direct comic. Now, when I look at this that whole video, it took me back to my days when I was a kid. It took me back to understanding why parents do things a certain way. And again, I looked at that situation, and it made me thank God that I had parents who knew how to work together. Because when I look at this whole situation that is out here, looks like we got some trolls in the chat. Somebody trying to play Kevin Samuels. The late Kevin Samuels is dead, so this troll can go away. And the whole thing is that you have people who don't know how to work together. They don't know how to communicate with each other. They don't know how to problem solve. But again, this is due to the dysfunctional way we've had 3 generations raised. And what we saw in that video is what happens when you have people who are raised not to understand how to be a family and work together. We have people out here looking to just be adversaries, but this is what's modeled for Black children for the last 60 years. We've seen many mothers and fathers going at it with each other, not understanding that you are creating these scenarios like we saw in the video. What we saw in the video is what we saw in the video is what happens when your family, when you have no sense of family and you have no sense of how things look optically for your family. Now, this woman wanted to embarrass her baby daddy, and that's not what happens when you're out here. You don't want to embarrass your baby daddy, because when you embarrass your baby daddy, that reflects badly on you. And when you embarrass your baby daddy, it says a lot more about you than it does about him. While it says that he's a weak man, it also shows that you are a very difficult woman, and it doesn't make both of you look good at all. I mean, when I looked at that video, it just showed me a guy who didn't know how to lead his family. He did not know how to be a head of household. And basically, the woman was running him, and he was not running his household. So he was not in charge of his household. He was not running his stuff, because, again, a man who has his house in order, the first thing he's going to say is, I'm taking my son out for a meal. And the mother's going to just go, okay, I'm glad that he's going to take him out for a few hours, because that's a child that I'm going to get a break from. So they would be grateful for that. But when your woman is out of order and in complete chaos, then she's looking at things, thinking about what she is supposed to get. And that is what happens with America's welfare system. We have gone out here, and I say spoiled 3 generations of women to believe that they are entitled to certain things. And that's not the way it works in this world. You are not entitled to get 3 meals for 3 different other children. You are not entitled to those meals. No, you are supposed to go to those baby daddies, and you are supposed to go out here and make sure that they are taking care of their kids, whether with the court system through child support, or you arrange something for that man to take time with his kids. If these men are not taking care of their responsibilities, then that's on you, because you picked these men and you did not do a good job of vetting these men. But women really cannot go out here and vet men. That's something I talk about in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis. When women go out here and pick their own partners, this is why you get the 4 different kids by 3 different baby daddies, because you get no vetting, because there's nobody there to set standards. And because there's no one there to set standards, what happens is the daughters go off on their emotions based on how Mr. Pookie, Mr. Ray Ray, Mr. Jimbug, and Mr. Junebob make them feel. And when they get in their feelings about these guys, and these guys start talking about what they're going to do, that's what makes them go out here and want to drop the skid mark thong and give them a taste of the atomic waste without securing a marriage. And that's why fathers are very important, because a father, what he's going to do is, 1, he's going to demand to see the male that wants to get involved with his daughter. And 2, when you're having the meeting with this father, he is going to assess this man's character. And it's very important to have a father be a part of the courtship phase, because when a father is a part of the courtship phase, he is the guy who is basically like the gatekeeper, who keeps these predatory and dysfunctional males from the children. From the daughters. He keeps those predatory males from the daughters, because just his presence being there lets many of these girls know, okay, if I want to get involved with a guy, I have to go out here, and he has to meet the standards of my father, and he has to go out here and he has to meet face to face with my father. So a lot of guys, they will just get scared right there. The Jimbugs, the Pookies, the Ray Rays, when they hear that there's a father involved, they head for the hills, and they don't even want to even approach, because when they see a father as part of the whole family situation, He don't want nothing to do with that because a father is going to demand standards for his daughter, and he's going to demand standards for who gets involved with his daughter. Now, many of these people out here in the government and business, they didn't want the father in the home. And that's why we see the situation we had at outside in that video for that whole incident with that baby mama. They didn't want there to be a father in the home vetting people because they wanted to make fast dollars off of these women because these women are emotional and they go out here and they're just willing to go out here and do all sorts of things without having somebody there to look out for them. Now, again, the Most High made the man to be the head, and he made him to be a steward. And as the steward, he is over the family, ensuring that the family is protected from predators. So if you have fathers in the home, what they do is keep your daughters from being baby mamas. They keep your daughters away from Mr. Pookie and Mr. Ray Ray. Your daughter is going to have, if she knows that she has to go, the guys have to go through the dad, then they know that, okay, I can't bring this kind of guy around. And if they do get involved with that kind of guy, what happens is the dad sends them over to Mr. Pookie because he says, look, when you went to lay down with that man, the two of you became one. So now you're his responsibility. You are no longer my responsibility. And that's the thing that made a lot of girls back up and think before they got involved with these kind of guys. But that's something most people don't want to talk about because, again, the father is the one who is, again, the first line of defense in protecting the children and keeping them from becoming baby mamas like this. Because baby mamas like this, again, they grow up because they've been enabled by the state. They've been enabled by simps. They are just basically spoiled and entitled women. They believe that, oh, he's supposed to do things for you. No, no man has to do anything for you except your husband. The only man who is supposed to do things for a girl or a woman are two people. One is the father who fathered that child, and two is the husband who marries that woman. Those are the only two people who can go out here and do something for a woman and are supposed to do something for a woman, but a woman is not owed anything from any other man because those are not his children. And since they are not his children, he has no obligation to buy food for those children because they are not his biological siblings. No, because if he fathered children by all of those kids, if all four of those kids were his, he would have a obligation to take care of all four of those children. And that's the only way he would do that. Now, some guys, again, some of these simps, they will do this type of thing, buying food for the other kids in order to try to get into the draws. And they'll do this thinking, oh, I'll go out here and do this thinking, oh, I'll get her to feel a certain way about me. I'll get her to think I'm a sweet guy. I'll get her to think I'm cool. I'll get her to be impressed. And the whole thing is, when you do that, you are starting to head down a bad road because what you're doing is setting the course for the beginning of the relationship. And as you set the course for the beginning of the relationship, you are going to set the path for how bad things get. So a lot of guys out here, they pull these kind of covert contracts. Oh, I'll do this stuff for the kids in the beginning, and then once I get in there, it'll be okay. And then what they do is they set themselves on a course where they have enabled the entitlement in these women, and then they start believing that they are owed certain things. But when you are the leader, you cannot do that because you have to show her, a woman, that you're going to lead from minute one, and you're going to show that you're going to lead from minute one by saying, look, I'm not buying anything for anybody's kids except the ones that I father. So that's what men of character do. They like, look, I'm not buying anything for anyone, and I'm not getting involved with a single mother to begin with because this woman is sufficiently obligated. This woman already has a man. This woman already has a relationship. and she needs to go to the baby daddy to get what she wants. And that's the way things are done. The only guys who are going out here and dealing with these kinds of females are the simps, and the simp will go out here and he'll try to chase these women looking for an easy yes. And I talk about this in my book, Misadventures of Captain Save 'em. And you can get that book on Amazon.com. It's critically acclaimed. And you can get Misadventures of Captain Save 'em. And you can read it on Kindle Unlimited for free. So thanks for the congratulations, Brandon. I really appreciate it. We've been working hard to get this comic out here. Antonio Balduri and Gons with the lettering. And we've been working real hard to get this comic out here. So getting the comic funded, that was a blessing, and I thank God for it. And I really am happy about that. So what's going on, Sir Leo? Glad to see you here. Black Lives Matter does not want fathers to be the head of the house, Jordan. Black Lives Matter wants to have a village. If you go to Black Lives Matter's official website, you see that they don't want fathers and they don't want men to be running their household. No, they don't want no man in the house. They want to be a whole nation of single mothers, but single mothers don't take care of anything. No, single mothers are basically tools of the state. And what they want the single mother to do is basically be a consumer who buys products. But the whole thing is that in creating this consumer, what they have created is a spoiled brat who believes that she is owed everything and doesn't have to put in work on anything. So that's what we saw in the video as related to this female. What we saw was a spoiled brat who thought, oh, I don't have to take responsibility for my house. I don't have to take responsibility for any of the money that was given to me by the state and the county. I don't have to take responsibility for anything. I'm supposed to get things and you're just supposed to give them to me. So she was not, this goes beyond that, the way she treated the baby daddy. No, this is just a culture of entitlement we've had in this country for over 60 years. And we've had this culture of entitlement where women believe that they are owed money, they are owed meals. You're just, what's going on, Kendra? Glad to see you here. I mean, you just feel owed for everything, but you're not owed anything in this world. No, you are not owed anything. I mean, if you want meals for your kids that you had by other men, then you need to make arrangements with those men to go out here and provide for those other children. That is the standard that's been ever since I was a kid in the 80s. You make your deal with the man you had kids with. You make your deal with him for visitation. And he is the one who is supposed to go out here and get your kids McDonald's. He is the one who's supposed to get your kids KFC. He is the one who's supposed to get your kids pizza, because if that is his child, it's his job to provide for that child, not the job of another man. Now, this type of situation, if that guy had gone out here and bought food for those other kids, let me tell you what would have happened. What would have happened is he would have bought food for those other kids, and I guarantee you that those other baby daddies would have came out like characters in a horror movie, and they would have attacked him, because oftentimes these guys who disappear, these baby daddies, they like to have power over the woman. They don't really want to do nothing for the woman, but they want to be the guy who is there. And when you go out here and say, oh, I'm buying some food for these other kids, he's gonna pop out like a character in a horror movie, and he's gonna want to come out and attack you and say, you don't buy nothing for my kids. I'll take care of my kids. Even though he's sitting up in his mama's house playing Xbox, you will go out here and buy this kid some food, and then you're going to have to deal with this guy wanting to either throw up hands at the least as related to the spectrum of violent behaviors, or at the worst, you're going to have a pistol put in your face. And that's just not worth it. And that's why smart guys who do have kids with these kind of women, what they do is they take it to the police station, because if you're at the police station, Pookie ain't gonna try nothing, baby mama ain't gonna try nothing. But the smartest man out here, he never goes out here and gets involved with this kind of female in the first place. He understands, okay, this female is messed up mentally. Two, she's already sufficiently obligated with a kid, and she is somebody who I personally say put off limits, and I've been putting them off limits ever since I was in high school. And these women, this is not the one you want to deal with, because she's nothing but trouble. Yeah, she has no trouble buying weaves, nails, eyelashes, Dylan. What they do is they get the child support money and they blow it on themselves, because they are stuck in a state of arrested development. And I talk about that in the woman crisis too, how these women, they grow old and they never grow up. And they'll go out here, buy the weaves, and then leave the kids out here, and then tell you to go out here and buy food for them. Or they'll try to manipulate some Arab store owner into giving them a discount, or they'll try to manipulate some supermarket people into giving them some food, or somebody at a church. But she's used to hustling because she's not used to accountability or responsibility, because she's never been put under the authority of a man. KJ makes a good point. Yeah, she does make enough food stamps to last the month. But the whole thing is that, yeah, like many women I grew up with in the South Bronx, they mismanage their funds. They go out here on the first of the month, and what they do is they buy the $8 pizzas, they buy the $6 ice cream, and yeah, they'll eat good for the first week. But then as the month goes on, there's no food in the house, because she blew it all on expensive stuff. I mean, she went to the market buying all of the deli meat and anything the kids want, all the ice pops, and she doesn't budget her food out, so that money out, so that she can buy things like meat and buy things like that go through the month and make meals. She's just buying all these things like Lunchables and all that crap. Lunchables is overpriced. It's $5. And if you know about managing money, you know, look, I'm not buying that type of stuff. I'm not buying chips and all that stuff. I'm buying basic staples for meals. And that's what people are supposed to do. But your baby mamas, a lot of them don't know how to do that. Computer Robots X, Sean, what are the advice you would give to possible stepmothers who have to deal with raising another woman's child, the baby mama's child? Get out of there. Get out of there. Because that woman is going to be jealous of you. That woman's going to want to fight you. That woman is going to hate you. So it's just not worth your time. I mean, leave her and that dude right where you find them. The same advice I give for guys with single mothers, thinking about single mothers, leave them alone. It's not worth your stress. It's not worth the headaches. I mean, this person is a nightmare, and you cannot go out here and get involved with a woman who has and be a stepmother, because those kids will hate you just as much. And that baby mama will just make your life miserable. I mean, and these baby mamas, again, they're very impulsive. So this is the type of chick who will take a knife out on you, or want to take a razor blade to you. And it's just not worth the grief. It's just not worth the headaches. It's just not worth the time. It's just not worth all of that. So just like I tell those guys who are out here with the single moms, you know, the women who have the baby daddy, they're just not worth the grief. Go find yourself a nice single dude out here and get involved with him, because the single dude is not going to give you that hard time. And since he doesn't have kids, you don't have to deal with any of her crazy. So G-Wood makes a good point. Yeah, you have to manage and budget your food stamps, and that's something that you have to do. And people who know how to budget, they know that the first thing they're going to buy is meat, because meat makes meals. Second thing you're going to buy is rice. Third thing you're going to get are canned vegetables. These are the foundations of a meal. And if you've got kids, you will let the kids maybe get one thing that they like, and that'll be it. But the whole thing is you want to manage it so that you're making meals, not just wasting food. And a lot of people, they get caught up. They go into the market. They're buying the $12 cake. They're buying the $5 Lunchables. They're buying stuff and not understanding that the easiest way to save money is learning how to make your own meals. So that's something a lot of women who grew up on food stamps over the second and third generations really don't know how to do. First generation people who grew up on food stamps, they know how to budget and stuff, but this was not a culture that was taught because the family fell completely apart. Now, when I look at this whole situation, again, I just see it as, again, spoiled, entitled woman and a guy who did not know how to be a leader. He didn't know how to set things up on his terms, because men of character, or men who know how to do things, they know, look, I'm not going to put myself in a situation like that dude did in the video, because that could easily turn into a domestic violence incident. And she could easily go out here and call the police and say that he did something when he did absolutely nothing at all. So a smart guy is going to be like, again, I'm going to meet at a public place like a police station so that she cannot go and record some one-sided video, make me out to be the bad guy, and then go out here and say that the guy was doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So smart guy, he's going to sit there and say, no, I'm not going to meet you out here like this, because this puts a target on my back and I'm not bringing my son a meal. No, I want to be able to go out here and take him someplace. And I'm taking him not only someplace because I want to take him just because as a father to do this. I'm taking him someplace because we need to have time so that he can learn about manhood. He can learn about character. He can learn about masculinity and learn about critical thinking and problem solving, because the behaviors you participate in, again, your son's sitting there watching these behaviors. And when he sees his father not going out here and knowing how to problem solve, it really shows that he's a weak man. Now, a lot of people looking at the mother as being crazy and out of control, but the whole thing is, a man of character does not allow the woman to run him. He runs the situation, and he's like, no, I'm not going to go and just be in some place like this with her. No, I'm going to be in a place where I am, where the tone is not under her control, and she cannot get me into he said, she said situations. She cannot goad me into arguments and goad me into back and forths. No, a smart man is not going to allow a woman to go out here and be able to goad him into arguments and back and forths like that, like I saw in that video. Because what I saw in that video was typical of what I would see in the South Bronx. These women would get you, they would try to start with you and try to get you into a back and forth with them. But smart men know how to just say, look, I'm just going to walk away. I'm just going to leave. And I'm just going to leave you right here to be sitting up in your anger, because I don't have time to argue with you. Because arguing with these type of females, it goes absolutely nowhere. All you're going to be doing is arguing into a circle. And all she's going to do is keep you going around and around and around until you get frustrated. And that's not a situation you want to be in. You don't argue with this kind of female. What you do is walk away from them. And the smartest men walk away from them at minute one. They say, look, this woman is not wife material. This woman is not relationship material. This woman is not a good reflection on me. So I'm just going to leave her alone. That is what a man of character does. He's like, look, I'm just going to leave her alone. She wants to sit there and be loud, cantankerous, and rude. Then I'm not going to deal with her at all. Because usually these type of females who act like this, they show themselves very early on. And when they're showing themselves early on, that's an indicator to you that this is how it's going to be in the relationship. If I get involved with this woman, this is how it's going to be in the relationship, and it's going to be a nightmare. Because either she's going to embarrass me in public, or she's just going to go out here and teach my kids a lot of dysfunction. Because when you're out here, yes, that's something I learned, Todd Muhammad, a couple of weeks ago. You can't argue with ignorance. Yeah, it is a losing battle. I mean, one of the worst things you could argue with is ignorance and stupidity, because ignorance and stupidity They love to get you in circles, and they love to get you going back and forth with them. And they don't want you to go out here and have an actual discussion. All they want to do is be right. So when you're dealing with an ignorant person and a stupid person, all they want to be is right. So what you do is let them go on and let them be right. It's like in the Bible, what they say about fools. You know, a fool is something that you just don't want to deal with, because a fool is somebody, no matter how many times you put it into him, he's never going to learn. So it's just best to leave him to himself, because the Psalms and the Proverbs, I know Psalms and the Proverbs both talk about fools. So when you're dealing with a fool, you just leave them right there. And that's what this guy had to learn about the situation. I'm going to go into an Entrepreneur King. So I'm sorry that you missed most of the live, but the live is about my thoughts on that viral video of that baby mama and who went out here and acted crazy when our baby daddy brought some McDonald's for his son. And I was talking about how many of these women, they grew up with this enabled sense of entitlement from the day they were born in our feminist culture. And I also talked about how these simps enable this kind of behavior in these kinds of women. So when I look at this whole baby mama situation that was shown in that viral video, I grew up with it in the neighborhood and saw this a lot. I mean, a lot of these women, they have entitlement issues. And again, these entitlement issues came from the day they were born, because the welfare state, what it does is it's an enabled mindset in women that makes them feel entitled. These simps out here reinforce that during adolescence. And this is what creates this whole spoiled, entitled mindset that many of these baby mamas have, believing that they are owed certain things, but you're not owed anything. No, you're not owed a single thing, and you're not entitled to anything from any man, because that man is not your husband, and he's not entitled to give children that are not his meals, that he's not supposed to be providing for them. You're supposed to be out here working with those baby daddies, and you're supposed to be working towards making sure that your children are provided for. Unfortunately, many of these girls growing up, they never learned about any sense of family, and they never learned about the biblical standards as related to family. And that's another big thing that I saw in that video. You know, you don't see girls understanding the biblical standard. What they understand is the state standard for family, and the state standard for family has no real structure or any real order like God's natural order, because under God's natural order, the father is the head. He's following God, and since he's following God's standard, the family has an order to follow, and because it has an order to follow, the woman isn't out of control. She understands that she has to answer to the man, and she has to answer to God if she's out of order. So there's an order there, but with the state, the woman is free and she runs wild. And that's why we have women acting berserk like we saw, in that baby mama video. They act like this because they are not accountable to God. No, they are accountable to the government, and the government enables the bad behavior in most of America's women, and it doesn't hold them accountable because they want to continue making money off of these kinds of females. So they allow these women to act as crazy as they want. So that's what they do, and that's why you see crazy incidents like this. People are sitting there going, "Oh, how could that happen?" Well, we created this over 60 years ago when we allowed the feminist movement to turn America's women into feminists, because you're not dealing with American women anymore. A lot of people, that's the mistake that they make, and I talk about this in the Woman Crisis. You're not dealing with a woman, you're dealing with a feminist, and a feminist believes that she is entitled to do whatever she pleases. She believes she is not accountable to anyone, and she's been enabled to be unaccountable to anyone because the state wants to continue making money off of the feminist. And the feminist just acts crazy and out of control because the powers that be in the state allow her to act crazy. And that's why we see all of this craziness, because again, you're not looking at a woman, you're looking at a feminist. Yes, they look the same and are biologically and anatomically the same, but a woman with a feminist has a different mindset than a woman. And I talk about this in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis. And it's something that you have to understand as related to dealing with your what they call the modern woman. The modern woman is a feminist, and a feminist has a completely different mindset than a woman. A woman wants to follow the Most High God, and she wants to be a helpmeet to a man, whereas a feminist, what she wants is the power of a man, and she wants to be a part of, she wants to be overtaking everybody, and she wants to replace men in God's order. She really wants to be the leader of everything, but she can't even lead herself. Like we saw in the video, this woman is sitting there talking about how her check isn't coming in. She wants to lead, but she can't lead herself, and she wants to do things on her terms, but has already agreed to terms with the state that are not even beneficial to her, because the state is going to give her a check on the 7th, but here is a guy who is going to be providing for one of her kids, and she wants to get resources from him for other kids. And again, it just shows how incompetent the leadership of these females are, who are feminists and have the feminist mindset. So I looked at that whole situation, and even though you had some people saying, oh, this was a script or a sketch, but it was something that I would say, from looking at it, I've seen these type of scenarios so many times, and I've seen these scenarios so many times in the South Bronx, just walking down the street, just in the supermarket, inside of the McDonald's. I mean, I've seen this so many times. And again, these women, they think that they're owed something. They're really not women, they're feminists. They believe that they're owed something. And the first person they want to do is go to the man making demands. You need to give me, you need to give. It's like, no, when you're in a marriage, it's not about what you need to give him, what he needs to give you. It's about you looking to serve him. And that's where the feminist wiring is all messed up. They're looking for everybody to give them something, and they don't look at things and say, how do I serve the family? How do I serve the house? How do I take care of this business with my family? No, they look for somebody to give them something, and they look to run games, and they look to play these kind of games with guys. And the sad part is that what they presented in the video was the weakness of the black man, because this black man had not been taught how to be a leader. He had not been taught how to be an authority figure. He had been taught just, okay, my job is to give my kids something. Again, that's something you learn from a single mom. That's not something you learn as a man. A man understands, yes, my job is to provide for my family, but I'm going to provide on my terms. And when I provide for my family, I'm providing for the family as related to everybody, like my wife and my child, and we are going to have a family unit under God and under God's authority. So we're not going to be dealing with somebody else's kids or somebody else's children, or you having kids by other men. No, we are going to have my family and my family on God's terms, and we're going to have a family under God where all my children have my name and all my children are being taken care of by me. So there's not going to be any sort of state involvement, because the state doesn't need to be involved in marriage. The state doesn't need to be involved in a family. No, the state has no business in family business. Family business is handled by members of the family, and that's the way it is. And it was here in America before the feminist movement. We had the family under God and God's order, and the family was run by God, and it was under that authority. But what's happened is that we allowed the feminists to come in, and they wanted to change things all up. So, and they want to make it their family on their terms. So this is something that people don't really understand about the whole situation with that McDonald's situation. I have lived in the neighborhoods and seen this done. I mean, this is something that you see on the street basically every day in the South Bronx. I would be on a bus, see these type of situations, see that these women yelling and screaming in the cell phone. Even saw it a couple times when I was even working at the Strive Job Readiness Workshop. You would see these type of baby mamas. Again, they have a sense of entitlement, but the whole thing is that they have that sense of entitlement because they have been enabled by the state. They have been enabled by simps, and there is no sense of understanding of how to follow the lead of a man. So that's why you see women out here and they just act crazy like this because somebody enables this behavior. And when you enable behavior inside of women, they believe that this is the way that they're supposed to behave because there have been no men to set boundaries from day one. Because if there was a man to set boundaries from day one, I guarantee you that what we saw with that baby mama, she wouldn't want nothing to do with that guy. Because once you start setting boundaries for these females, once you start setting rules for these females from day one, you wind up with a lot of these women wanting to run for the hills because they don't want to be under a man who's going to assert leadership or authority over them. And that's why they don't want anything to do with those kind of guys because they set order and the state allows them to participate in chaos. The state allows them to run free and wild. And that's why a lot of women don't like to be under the leadership with men. They don't really want to follow those men because those men are going to impose rules and order on them. Because I've seen this a lot of times. These women, some of these guys would buy them food, they throw it in the street. And again, the guy is just he will sit there and tolerate it because he wants to get access to the panties. But the whole thing is he loses his intangible of manhood, like his dignity and his self-respect. Because when you see women doing stuff like that, again, it's to say that they don't respect you. And the big problem is with these guys is that because of the way that they're raised, they don't understand that you don't allow women to disrespect you like that. No, when women participate in disrespect like that, you go out here and you charge them to the game, head over to the child support office, and leave it at that. It's like you can't do anything with her because she has no respect for you. And the whole thing is you should have known, but a lot of these guys, they're not taught because they're in single mother households. They don't understand about the concept of respect. And because they don't understand about the concept of respect, what happens is they get into situations with these type of females because she got a big butt or she's looking some kind of way in them clothes at the club. They get caught up in their lust and they get caught up with these women and they get caught up in a situation where they wind up messing up their life. So they want to go out here and they don't want to go out here and understand the first thing you want in a relationship is respect. And the first thing that you need when you're involved with a woman is respect. If you cannot get respect, there is no relationship. And if there's no respect, there's no foundation for anything at all. Head Ninja, I did watch Black Male Advice TV's video on this whole situation. And he did a very good job on that video talking about, these kind of females and how they're and everything about them. It's a brilliant video and I recommend you go see it. But I wanted to give my perspective on it. And again, I grew up in the neighborhoods with these types of women, so I know to leave them alone. And I've been leaving them alone ever since I was 15 years old. So I left them alone because I see what they are. And I know that if I cannot get respect out of these kind of girls, then there's no reason to have a relationship with them. Because in the minds of many of these feminist indoctrinated women, they see themselves as better than you. They are really very arrogant. They think that that you are beneath them, and that's why they mistreat guys like this, because they don't have respect for you. They see you as less than them. They have been taught this whole sense of superiority, and they think that they're better than any guy out here. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you've got. She thinks she's better than you. She thinks she can do better than you. And she's basically sees you as a tool she can use to get from point A to point B. and nothing you do will please this kind of female. So that's why you have to just leave them alone. And that's why I left them alone back in '89, because I see what she is, I accept what she is, and I understand that she doesn't see you as a person, she sees you as a tool, and she's just using you to get from point A to point B. Again, I'm going to be talking about this in depth in The Woman Crisis, and she is more loyal to the state than she is to you, and she goes out here and will do anything the state wants her to do. It's because she wants to be a part of the state's order. She doesn't want to be a part of God's natural order. Now, some people say that this video was fake, and some people are saying it's staged. And yeah, it could be fake and could be staged, but I've seen these incidents again over the course of my 48 going on 49 years growing up in the South Bronx. I've seen these kind of girls grow up into these types of very bitter and angry women. I have seen these types of scenarios go on. I mean, I remember one time I saw a guy was walking down the street coming back from a store, and the guy bought a girl a Little Debbie crackers, and she threw the crackers in the street. I've seen women throw soda bottles in the street. Guys going out of their way to buy them something, and because it's not what they want, they go out here and act crazy, and they act crazy primarily because these guys don't know how to have a relationship with women. So because these guys don't know how to deal with situations, they're sitting there thinking, oh, I just want to get these draws. But the whole thing is they're losing their dignity, because if this woman is disrespecting you over little things, her behavior is going to escalate into big things as related to disrespect. And when you throw a child's food in the street, it's basically saying you have no respect for whatever this man is providing for you. And that's again, that's the arrogance of many of these modern feminists out here. They believe that they deserve better, but the whole thing is you get what you get with the best that the man gives you. And the whole thing is, if you got involved with this man, then you are agreeing to accept whatever he's giving to you. You agreed to accept what he was giving to you. It was good when he was out here and he was tricking, but now you want more because you've bought into the lies the simp told you, and you're expecting this big lifestyle from this guy. It's like what she's expecting is for him to go out here and be able to drop $50 on McDonald's for everybody. She's expecting him to be this high roller and never thinking critically about, hey, where did this guy come from? I mean, if he's living in the same neighborhood as I am, there's no way he can go out here and drop big dollars on me. They don't really think about that because, again, a lot of these women feel and they buy into the lies that simps tell them, and the lies that simps tell them lead to them getting played. And that's what really upsets many of these kinds of women. What upsets these kind of women is the fact that they think that they're so smart, and what happens is they get outsmarted by a guy who she thought she was better than. In a lot of cases, she gets played by guys she thinks she's better than, and then that's what really is the thing that leads to her having some hurt feelings. In addition to not seeing the promises fulfilled, she gets really hurt because she's angry at herself for getting played by a guy who she thought she was better than. So when I looked at this whole situation, again, some are saying it's a scripted incident, it's a fake incident, but it really showed me a lot of realities of what I've experienced growing up in the South Bronx. It really showed me a lot of the behaviors out here, and it really showed me that sadly nothing has changed in the 48 going on 49 years I've lived in the South Bronx, and it showed me that nothing has really changed as related to the community. Yeah, let's get the likes up before I go. We got 55 in the room. Let's get 45. Let's get some more likes up. This is 45 likes. I really don't pay too much attention on the likes because I just want to be able to present a good stream to everybody. So let's get the likes up. I mean, we got 44 likes. Let's get that up to 55. I mean, we got 55 in the room. So let's get those likes up so that we can get this live and get back into the algorithm, because I've had some slow things with the algorithm, and I want to get the algorithm back on track. Now, some people want to say, oh, Kevin Samuels is what's out here. It's like, No, I was out here before Kevin Samuels. I may do a whole video on that. I mean, I've been doing blogs on this type of stuff since about 2010, 2011. And I have been out here before your Kevin Samuels. And I was even the guy dressing up before Kevin Samuels. If you watch my video, Real Men Avoid Single Mothers. And I decided to pull back because I didn't want to be too fancy. And I just wanted to just chill out when I make my videos. So I have been doing a lot of stuff, and they want to say that, oh, it's like Kevin Samuels and all this stuff. It's like, no, I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. I mean, I was out writing blogs when a lot of guys were first starting out YouTube, like your Sergeant Willie Peets and your Dan Freemans and Rick Scorpios and many others. So I've been here for a long time making this kind of content. And again, I come from my life experience growing up in the South Bronx and seeing these types of females and seeing this type of content and seeing this type of thing being done. And I wanted to give people some perspective on it. So Computer Robots X, why did the baby boomer men spoil the feminist women into thinking that even though they were not told to get involved with these type of men, they didn't care about them? Well, the baby boomer men, they were shocked by the feminist movement. And because they were shocked by the feminist movement, and they thought they wouldn't gain sexual access to women. So what a lot of these guys did is they started simping, hoping that if they acquiesced to the women and gave them what they want, they would possibly get sexual access to these feminists. What they didn't understand is that these feminists don't respect them and that sexual access meant nothing to them, that there were more important things out here like your dignity, like your self-respect, and your self-worth. And if you stand up for your dignity, your self-respect, and your self-worth, what'll happen is that you would get the same sexual access, but you wouldn't be able to maintain your intangibles of manhood. That was a lesson that many men did not learn about holding the line, because when you hold the line with out of control females, what happens is they're going to get crazy. They're going to get out of control. But the whole thing is you showing self-control makes a lot of the other women start pulling back and saying, hey, we need to get away from this crazy lady, because the whole thing is these men are standing strong and they're standing to protect us. So we're going to go stand with those men. And that would have basically destroyed the feminist movement. Unfortunately, we got a whole group of really a lot of weak men, because the baby boomers were some weak guys. They had everything given to them. So they didn't know how to hold the line. And that's why the line completely fell apart, because they went out here and just thought they were going to be able to get more by giving women what they wanted. But the whole thing is, when you give spoiled women what they want, they just become more demanding, more out of control, and more crazy. And you're not going to be able to deal with that type of woman. She's not going to want to help you. All she's going to do is continue looking for more of what she can get. So that's, in a nutshell, what happened with the men of the feminist movement. But I talk more about that in my upcoming book, The Woman Crisis. I'm still trying to get this book put together. I'm in the middle of the second draft. I'm hoping to get it out to you guys this fall. So there's a lot of information inside of the Woman Crisis about why these women are acting so crazy and dysfunctional. And again, it's all due to the spoiling that they received. But that spoiling was done deliberately because corporate America wanted to make lots of money off the American woman, and they wanted to give her control over the economy. So there's a lot going on here as related to why these women are out of order. And I'm going to be going in detail onto it in The Woman Crisis, just like I did in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And that's a book that you also should check out, because Why 70% of Black Women Are Single is the book where I go into detail into why so many of these women, Black women, act crazy like this. You can get that book on Amazon.com right now. So you can get Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And you can learn all about why these females like this act so crazy, why they act so erratic, But the core foundation is this behavior is enabled by men, and is the only way you can stop this behavior is by learning how to be a man who is going to be a leader, being a man who can set boundaries, being a man who sets order. Because when men set boundaries and set order on women, what happens is the women's behavior doesn't get all out of control like this. The way you deal with this type of behavior, again, is not to enable it in the beginning. And the big problem we have in America is we have a lot of simps out here. They enable this behavior in women, and they enable this behavior in women because they're thinking, oh, if I acquiesce to her, she'll give me sexual access. But the thing is that you're losing is your respect, because if you don't have your respect, you have no foundation for any sort of relationship. That is something every guy out here has to understand, because if you don't have respect, you have no foundation for anything. And without respect, this woman will not ever appreciate anything you do. She will see everything you do as garbage because she will think she's better than you. So a lot of guys, they don't understand. This is why you need a man in your life to teach you about manhood and masculinity and teach you about the foundations of relationships. And that's why we see these guys, these women acting crazy, like the baby mama at McDonald's. Yes, I know some people are going to say it's staged, but the whole thing is that disrespect is something I've seen every day growing up in the South Bronx. And it's something that I know happens because when you don't have boys who are raised to become healthy men, they don't understand how to deal with a situation in a way that allows you to be respected and appreciated. So I got 62 in the live. Let's get those likes up to 62. Let's get those lives up because it's very important that we get the live likes up. Helps with the algorithm. And I really wanted to, again, go into this whole topic from a panoramic perspective. I really wanted to give people an understanding of how these situations work, because it's not just about the bad black woman like a lot of people want to talk about. It's also about weak black men. And what we really saw here was some weakness in these black men, in this black father. I mean, yes, he was in his child's life, but he wasn't leading his family. And that was the worst case of this whole situation, because again, a leader is going to say, I'm taking my son to McDonald's and he needs to be ready to come with me. And we're going to go to the McDonald's. That's how a father leads his family. He doesn't go out here giving to his son. He takes his son where he needs him to go, and he teaches him as they're having the meal. He's asking about how he's doing in school, and he's also teaching lessons on manhood. So that is how a man operates in these situations. Entrepreneur King, I may do a video on Brittany Griner, but I really want to do one on R. Kelly, so that's going to be coming up soon. I may do one on Brittany Griner, but it may not be a long video because, well, we'll see what happens. But if you drop a Cash App, I'll do it a little faster. But I have a video planned for R. Kelly this weekend. I'm just got to film it. I don't know if I'm near Bronx River, Entrepreneur King, in Parkchester, so I don't really know where anything is. But I was in the South Bronx and I know how it is around here, and I know how rough it is around here. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. And before I go, I'm going to do one more plug for the John Haynes Kickstarter. Right now, we have unlocked the first stretch goal. So if you guys want to continue putting in pledges, that'd be great, because I mean, right now we're 6 pledges away from 50 pledges. And that means more readers reading John Haynes. So if you guys want to put in a pledge for the John Haynes Kickstarter, you may do so by clicking the link in the chat. I mean, $5 will get you a digital version, and $5 will enable me to be able to get ready to start funding the next comic. And that's something I would really love to do, is start working towards putting together the next comic. So all you need is $5 to put in a pledge. If you want a digital copy, $15 plus some shipping for a paper copy. And I also have premium packages where you can get all of the stories in John Haynes' story. And I have a lot of great fun extras with the Kickstarter. So if you guys want to donate to the Kickstarter, you can go out here and click the link in the chat. And I thank you in advance if you put in a pledge. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Have a great evening and have a good night.